This is Brandon Finiti. Welcome to another episode of MONTANAMOTO featuring Brandon Dove.
Welcome to MONTANAMOTO. I've got some motorcycles and a GoPro. What will happen, no one knows. So stick around and watch the show.
Oh. Beaver trapping? I wish I could trap some beavers.
Something over there.
Oh. Oh. Whew.
Yeah, I'm
Worth it.
there's no air up here either in Montana.
I think that's why my bike runs better. Hey, that FZ1 I have,
Yeah.
it runs so much better up here, and that must be why.
Hey, what's up, folks? Happy 4th of July, and thanks for tuning in, enthusiast. First off, I want to start by saying how badass these tires are. I've got a Tractionator in the rear and that German tire, a Heidenau in the front, and that combination just slays these off-road trails. You can see right here, it doesn't really look like much on GoPro, but I had to go back for a second helping. I got into some pretty gnarly stuff today, and I'm proud of myself for pulling through it, not crashing, and keeping up with my buddy's YZ450F with the Recluse, which is a badass bike and the superior bike for this trip. I've done a lot of work to this KLR on my own, and it's really satisfying to know that I can ride this well and feel safe out here in the wilderness. Brandon is an exceptional rider, and I had an absolute blast ripping with him today. Now in Montana, people take naps pretty seriously. Brandon is signaling me that we should pull over and take a nap. Now I think that's a really good idea, so we're probably going to stop here and go back and rest. No, I'm just kidding. He was just showing me where he used to live. I gotta say, it's really cool to be out here with a local, born and bred, to explore these hills, because Brandon really knows this area. He knows where it's safe to ride, where it's not, and where we're not going to be bothering anybody. So I really appreciate you, Brandon, for taking me out on this trip. Happy 4th of July! Thanks to all of our veterans and active military for continuing to fight for our freedom and putting your lives on the line every day. No matter who you are, if you reside in this country, you have opportunities that nobody else in this world has. And if you don't see them and engage in them, then it's nobody's fault but your own if you don't succeed. Because the truth is, at some point in our lives, none of us are victims anymore. And it's up to you to decide how you want to spend your time. And that is why I decide to spend my time doing this.
Damn! Yeah, of all the people I ride with, I've ridden with so many people. No one's ever had a stand like that on the trail, man. That's awesome.
I love that stand.
And today I have a special guest, Brandon Dove. And he is out here with me today to explore these awesome mountains. And where are we going?
We're going up to an old mine shaft. So what we'll do is we'll go just over here, and then we'll traverse up these hills here, and then we'll get on the other side of them, and that's where the mine shaft is.
What do you guys call this out here?
This is Pointed Rocks, but on the map it's called Renova Hot Springs.
Renova Hot Springs, and I've been through there before. Beautiful area. Well, we're on the hunt for skinwalkers, and we're going up to the abandoned mine. I say that for to get views.
To get views.
Yeah, we're out here hunting skinwalkers.
Well, there are skinwalkers that roam these hills.
As long as you don't call them by their native tongue, we're okay.
Well, I think you got to be at least a quarter mile away from them. So,
oh shit!
Yeah. So if you get any closer and you say that name, you're dead.
All right.
But there is a waterfall over here that I'll show you. We're not going to show how to get there, but we're
okay.
going to show you the
fair game. I won't record.
My KLR is running like a champ. I'm having a blast, and I can't express enough how important it is to have a gold O-ring chain on your bike, the Japanese one. I've had a cheap chain on my bike, and it stretched out so much it completely ate my sprockets and nearly left me stranded on my last trip here to Montana. I just went with a 14 tooth front sprocket and a 43 rear. Before I had a 16 tooth front sprocket, and I'm not sure I really like having this 15 tooth front sprocket on there. I think it sounds kind of backwards, but with a 15 tooth, I'm having a little bit more problem at slower speeds, and I was able to climb some hills today and get over some pretty cool stuff, but you gotta keep it gassed. And I felt like with that 16 tooth sprocket, I was able to take it a little slower and take it easy. So if you know what's up with that, please let me know in the comments, because I'm a little confused, but anyways, I'm just happy with this bike is running as good as it is. I think it's also important to mention that a good ride starts with a balanced bike and a balanced rider. It's important to maintenance your bike. A lot of people overlook simple things like air filters, which can cause a big difference in the way your bike runs. Air filters are very cheap, very critical, and anyone can put one in. So keep them clean and keep them oiled. Tire pressure is also very critical, and it is so simple to check your tires often and keep them inflated or deflated depending on the nature of your riding. Lowering the pressure of your tire can help you in situations like this where there's lots of rocks, dips, unforeseen obstacles, and just uncertainties all around. I also like to change my oil more frequently than necessary and change the oil filter every time and inspect it for metallic debris. Metallic debris can tell you that there's something wrong with your engine that needs further inspection. Oil is cheap, filters are cheap, and they're very critical components to your bike. Check your oil often and replace as necessary, or if you're like me, a little more often than necessary, just to be extra sure. It's also really critical to have a good toolkit when you're going to be out here in the wilderness like this. For me, I have a way to inflate my tire, a way to patch a really bad tire, and a way to take my rear axle off, amongst a few other things. Zip ties, metal wiring, or a couple of things that can really help you out here when you're in trouble. One of the most satisfying things about adventuring though, is when you happen to have something that somebody else doesn't have, and you're able to provide that for them so they can get their bike fixed and going again. That's an awesome feeling. And it's equally as awesome when it's you that doesn't have the tool and somebody else is able to help you out, because that happens all the time. If you can hear that, it's the 4th of July. And those are all the fireworks around my house, and I think it's awesome. So I'm really happy to have them in the edit. As soon as I can figure out how to get a mic hooked up so I can talk while I ride, I'm going to do that. But for now, I'm just going to narrate my videos. And remember, don't ever ride faster than your guardian angels can fly. I've broken 15 bones and had ruptured organs in the last several years. I've spent a week in the ICU, months healing up from broken ribs, and the thought of having to go back to work that way or wait through another several months of healing is just appalling to me. So even though I'm pushing myself today on this KLR and I'm keeping up with that bike, I feel like I'm within my ability to do that. I consider myself an intermediate rider. I have lots of room to grow, but I ride across all kinds of motorcycles. So I ride dual sport touring, and dirt bikes. Right now I don't have a dirt bike, but I'm actually really surprised on how well this KLR is doing on this trip. I might put off the dirt bike for a while and just keep doing this until I can afford a good one. So look, when you're on a heavy bike like this, in this situation, see that rock right there? Yeah, those are real easy to hit. And I apologize for this angle, but I'm really looking out for rocks and trying to stay in Brandon's tracks.
Beautiful, man. I didn't know you were gonna go off road. I thought you were just talking about taking the road up. That was badass. Oh.
I noticed there's a couple dead roads right there.
Hey, I'll tell you something, man. After doing the Desert 100, you gotta go with me next year, man.
I'll go. I love it.
Dude,
that's my favorite.
It's the coolest thing I've ever done. Well, after that, I'm like twice the rider, man, and I didn't even make it a lap.
Yeah.
This view up here is just insane. I hope this GoPro does it justice. Brandon's on a pretty sick bike with a Recluse cheater. I've got the old KLR 650. My gear shifter was moving all the way forward, messing me up, so put a little rock in a zip tie in there and it's held up through some pretty hardcore stuff. So in my handle here, it's slipping, throttle, so handle here is slipping a little bit. For a second I thought my bike was had a blown engine or something, but nope, just a slipping throttle, thank God. But I gotta say, the KLR is probably the most easily road fixable bike there is on the market. Bubble gum and duct tape, some metal wire will get you through about anything. Man, but look at this place. Does it ever get boring, the view? I'm gonna have to come back here and camp.
So remember earlier when I was preaching about having a well-maintained bike? Well, it just so happens that these brake pads are completely shot. I'm waiting for a new pair to get here. They're very cheap, very easy to install yourself, along with bleeding your brakes. Now this bike has 60,000 miles on the frame and about less than 2,000 on the motor, but I'll bet that the brake fluid hasn't been changed in a long time. Brake fluid is very cheap. You can get yourself a little bottle, a little hose, and a wrench, and learn how to bleed the brakes on your own. Because if you've ever lost your brakes going downhill, then you know what a nightmare it is. I have to put it out there though, that if you're going to take on maintenance and repairs of your own bike, then you have to remember what the consequences are for failure. Not only can you do harm to your bike, but you can get yourself into a serious accident. So whatever you're doing, whatever maintenance, make sure you can do it thorough and don't leave anything half-assed because it could cost you your life. I hate to admit it, but most of the issues I've had with my bikes were my fault. From working on them with zero experience, being impatient, and not following through properly. This little section was a blast, and this is why Tractionator and Heidenau tires. And Rob, he's gone. He's losing me on that 450. That is a sweet bike. My first dirt bike was an 04 YZ 450F. I knew nothing about dirt bikes, except only the fantasy that if I had a dirt bike, I'd be out there slaying trails, hitting jumps on the track, and getting it. It didn't take me long to figure out that that bike was a track bike, and I was a trail rider. Eventually I wound up selling it and getting an 04 KLX 400R, which was in itself just an amazing bike. I recently sold it to a buddy before moving to Montana, and it's got me back on this KLR a lot more, and I don't regret it. But I think in the future, I want to get a KTM. I think it's the XCW 300, a two-stroke with a recluse. My buddy has one, and it is sick.
Is that peyote?
No.
I think I found some over here.
A peyote button?
Yeah. Do they grow out here?
They can.
I swear to God, that's peyote.
Usually they grow. They're like.
You know, the only thing that sucks about doing this with baseball players that are fit is I'm not very fit. I'm gonna have to walk back up all this, but it's worth it. Holy shit.
So that's it for today's episode of MONTANAMOTO. It is 4th of July, 2024, and I couldn't have had a better day. Thank you, Brandon Dove, for showing me these cool places, and just what an awesome ride. I just really killed it on this KLR today. Needs a couple small things, but man, if I can keep up with that guy, I'm having a pretty good day. And hey, if you've made it this far and you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Feel free to engage. Leave a comment. I'd like to know what you guys have in your toolkits that you take with you on these adventures. Everybody has something different that's really cool. What's your cool item? Let me know.